I think the construction might be taking a break. So we're just gonna go for it now. Hi, hello, welcome back. By now I would have uploaded the first planning video and the everything I bought for my Interrailing trip, so you can go watch those. But I'm basically going Interrailing for a month at the end of the summer in Eastern Europe, and this is a series planning everything about that trip. So this is going to be the planning process part 2. This one is going to be more about hostels and booking and just all that good stuff. Okay, so this is going to be set up in 6 parts. I don't know why I like setting them up in parts. I think it just makes it easier. Step 1 is deciding on a budget, because this can really decide a lot of things for accommodation and or what you're doing. I mean, it kind of depends on like what you want to get out of Interrailing. Some people I know would prefer paying very cheap for accommodation, and others would like to stay at nicer places, like not necessarily hostels, but so like Airbnbs or hotels, and get that kind of vibe. So it really just depends on what you want. That's why setting a budget is important, because it can determine what accommodation you can afford, and like all the decisions you have to make from this budget. Okay, so the construction is kind of back, but like on a lesser scale. There's no drills or anything. Step 2 is choosing your accommodation. So I chose to do hostels mostly because I am going solo backpacking in places I haven't gone before, and I want to meet new people. Like, it's a big part of why I'm doing this. Hostels aren't always the cheapest option. Definitely still look at Airbnbs and hotels, especially if you're a bigger party. Airbnbs can 100% be more affordable because you are only paying for like half a bed space. And so if you're 4 and there's an Airbnb for 100, you're only paying 25, where at a hostel you would be paying maybe 30 or 40 depending on how much you want to spend at hostels. In general, like some decisions to think about are if you want a social atmosphere, if you want something to be cheaper, if you want events kind of planned for you, also if you want a kitchen. So compared to like Airbnbs and hostels versus hotels, having the ability to cook may be nice, especially if you're staying someplace longer, and as well as location is so important. Like, it determines everything. So determining if you're staying for a place of the night, whether you want to be closer to the train station or the bus station or the airport, or you really want to be in the city center, which also means that you could be paying more or less, blah 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 blah. So choosing these, for hostels, I obviously recommend Hostel World. It's like the most well-known, it's definitely the most reliable, but you can also look up recommendations elsewhere. I went on Hostel World just kind of to see general like options in each city I was staying at, but I searched on Google in a separate tab, best hostels in blank, and I found places ranked, but it wasn't just like number 1, number 2. It was based on things like best social hostel or best budget hostel, things that like Hostel World doesn't necessarily provide these rankings. So these lists came up so easily, and for like very tiny cities too, so I'm assuming there's lots of lists everywhere for like these. But so it really helps, because if you want to party a lot at certain places, then choose that. Yeah, so definitely look at that, and then most importantly, look at the reviews. Obviously, this is where you can determine everything. So even if it is closest to the city but it has shit stars, like, do you want to do that, or would you be willing to walk a little bit more, probably see more things, just to like be in a funner hostel? Things to consider: again, the proximity to train or bus or the airport station, whether breakfast and or laundry is included or other meals, how close it is to the city center, if they provide events like bar crawls or book exchanges or just like fun things like that, what they offer in terms of rooming, if you have like very cheap dorm style rooms, or you want like a private room, or you're willing to pay more. Some may not offer that. General ratings and reviews, like I said. And then a huge one is check-in and luggage storage. If you are arriving extremely early in the morning and the train station doesn't have luggage storage, the hostel doesn't have luggage storage, do they have an early check-in? Is there a place you could put it? Are you willing to walk around until you can check in? Just things like that. The most important thing I found when researching hostels was seeing how accommodating they were. And this is especially people in reviews, if they write good reviews, often it's because they were very accommodating in terms of check-in, helping out with like deciding where to go, things to see in the city, and luggage, and things like that. And then you book that shit. So check that off your list. This one is kind of, it happens like you do this within step 1 and 2 as well, but it's keeping track of everything you're spending on and will spend money on. So when I started buying my Euroworld pass, my plane tickets, and I booked all my hostels on Hostelworld. On Hostelworld, you only pay a certain amount of money there and then you pay the rest later. So I wrote down, I would write down everything I had spent so far. And then I also wrote down things I bought for my trip. So like my bags, stuff from Amazon, my like shampoo, toiletries and stuff, just so I could kind of have out like how much money I'd spent on this trip in total. Just keep track of it. It's important to write down, especially writing down like how much you're gonna have to pay at the actual place. And like if you haven't bought some stuff yet, keep track of how much money you're going to spend. So like if you haven't bought a backpack yet, but you know you're going to in a couple of months, you know, just keep that in mind. Step 4. So I got this idea from Jack Edwards. I wrote out everything on Excel. I edited it a little bit because I added some things and just got things that like didn't pertain to me. But I made a giant Excel workbook, because they're called workbooks. It has the date, and then it says where I'm waking up, where I'm going to sleep. If it's a travel day, so for example, the first day it says London, I wake up in London and I sleep in Brno. And then the next it says, if it's a travel day, it says a departure and arrival time. It says the accommodation I'm staying at for those days, the check-in info for this accommodation, so what time I can check in. Does this hostel have luggage storage that I can use in terms of checking in early, or like if I get there early but I can't check in yet, I can still leave my luggage there. I wrote down if they take cash or credit in terms of the payment I have to pay there, the price I have to be paid there in both American dollars and the currency that has to be used in that country, and then whether it has free breakfast. So it looks something like this, and it's also color coordinated. So those are all the places on the right here. And then I have all of that right there, and then everything is planned out like this. And I will print this. It just feels great to have it all laid out in front of you. So I really recommend doing this. And obviously you can add your own variables too if needed. I still might add stuff. Just added recently where I was stopping on overnight trains, and like what events are going on at the hostels. Okay, that was step 4. Pretty easy. Step 5. I think I got this from Elena Tabor a while ago, but I basically went back to Google Maps once again, and I added a saved list of places on Google Maps. I titled it Important, and I put on the Google Map for each city that I was going where the airport, train, bus station I was getting off at was, where the hostel was, and then ATMs nearby. And I saved them, and this is useful because if you don't have Wi-Fi or data, then you'll still be able to see relatively where it is and if you're going the right directions. You might not be able to get like actual directions from Google Maps, but you can just see in the general, like if you're walking the right way, which is convenient. So I recommend doing that. I will let you know if I use it. I'm assuming I will, but we'll see. Okay, and then step 6 is the last step, and it's just to keep in mind several things to get done before planning and keeping this on like a large to-do list. So don't forget things like credit cards and foreign transaction fees. So if you want to go to your bank and figure out what would work best in terms of like prepaid cards, ATM cards. I have a credit card with no foreign transaction fees for this purpose. Travel insurance, if I know I have to call my school insurance to let them know that I will be gone and that it'll be covered there. Data usage, I'm gonna get a European SIM card. I'll do a pay-as-you-go thing because I'm not gone for too long. So kind of determine if you just want to pay per day or get a SIM card. So start doing your research on this. I think it's really important just to set out everything that you need to do. This should all be in like a giant to-do list, which I have. It's almost all checked off, which feels really good. But I super recommend making a to-do list. Just lay it all out there, even if you know in your head, even if you can memorize it all, write it down, check it off. It's so satisfying. So that's pretty much it. I've done like almost all the planning that I can. I've started doing like specific things I want to do in each city, but that's just kind of a rough note because I don't want to go in with too strict itinerary. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next time I think I'll be filming a video like this, I might be leaving. I might be going to London. I don't know, it's pretty exciting. I keep saying it's like all this video is. It's exciting, it's exciting. Obviously it's exciting, Julia, you're excited. We get you're excited. I can't wait to take you along with me on this journey. I hope this was super helpful. Always let me know any questions you have. Okay, that's all. Okay, bye.